Hey, folks, welcome back to our third edition of What's Going On Experiencing on Fox Sports 1280. We got my man Rod Guy down in the Hamptons, and we got Greg Vaughn, Mr. 355 Silver Slugger. What's up, fellas? And we were going to talk some NBA. So, right now, the Knicks taking a break. So, we're gonna get to the Knicks in a second. But they're taking a break because they don't got to play, because Cleveland got to play game 7. I don't know. So, Greg, how did Cleveland let Detroit get back into the series, I guess, in game 6 and not winning on their home court? Do we see the same ghost of James Harden throwing the ball away, dribbling it off his beard? What's going on?
Well, hey man, I think I think Cleveland goes as far as Mitchell and I would say Mobley more than I would say Harden.
Okay.
When Mobley's engaged and he's ready to play, he's he's a walking bucket. He gets him in foul trouble, and he's defensively, one of the best in the league, right? I think, excuse me, I think when he's half engaged, I mean, they don't have a chance. He's been playing better, better as of late.
Mhm.
But also, like I said, the moves that Detroit are making, whoever they're putting in is answering the call right now because they do have to take the load off, off Cunningham. I mean, you can't have him make every bucket. You can't have him, scoring 100 points and think you're going to win. You need other guys to step up, and they get to go back to Detroit right now, and I think that's what a good series is. Detroit, it's one of those funny series. I thought, watching, I thought Detroit had more weapons, but I tell you, Amir Thompson, he is the truth. Do not dribble, do not
You
put the
like
ball
that
out
Thompson
there.
twin, huh?
Yeah, yeah. He plays basketball the right way. He gives up shots, to do it on the defensive end and on the help side. He makes life hell for James Harden. I know he's having nightmares about him right now.
Okay, so
And
Ryan,
during,
quickly,
during each game.
this is actually a quick question. Does Cade Cunningham have a collapsed lung again, or this is old reporting?
I think it's old.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about
Okay,
it.
so you didn't hear. Okay, so he'll be able to.
But
to go
he did
into-
have a collapsed lung, which is obviously affecting him. That's not something that just goes away in a few months.
That's what I'm saying. So it seems
It's definitely a factor. But Duran, to me, they limited his minutes more and more each game because he was just for some reason rendered ineffective. But that to me was the key difference in the last game. 7 of 10 from the field, dominant, playing good defense. The Detroit Pistons looked a lot more like the more well-balanced team that we saw that led them to a number 1 seed. So are they getting it together? That's the real question. It looks like if they get it back together and Duran starts playing like he did at center in the regular season and they start giving him more rightfully earned minutes, maybe they have a chance against the Knicks. We're looking at a historic offense with the Knicks right now and how they're just so absolutely dominant. But we gotta backtrack a little bit here.
You don't.
We got to backtrack.
You don't get it
because it's not It's not like they're playing these two amazing teams in the playoffs so far. I'm sorry, the Atlanta Hawks were not that good, and the 76ers. I was mistaken; they were way more shallow.
Time out. We're gonna get 8 minutes this segment, so time out. You don't get to talk about the Knicks like that, bro. Come on, man. We understand. You talk about the offensive run, and I'm gonna go to something that Greg said because I ain't talking about the offense. Greg, you said defense wins championships. Greg was saying that's he's been on this show. I don't care how much the Knicks score or whatever. Greg said it. Defense, and their defense has been outplaying everybody else, and I think including San Antonio and OKC. Their defense, and I know they can. I know, Greg. I can see your face, but I think the Knicks defense, their defense, could go up against either one of those. It'll be hard against OKC. We know that already. But I think that's what's going to win them the chip. They
talking about some serious offenses.
Okay, you know what, Nate? I give it up to you. They are playing better. You know the key too. Robinson's he does what he does. You know what he's going to do. But you got everybody. Obi, he's flying around the ball. He's doing what he's going to do. But so is everyone else.
But the bench.
I think that's the key. Yeah, I think they got. Usually Cat hits the floor. He rolls around like Embiid.
There you go.
And it's 4 on 5. It's 4-on-5. Now he's getting his butt up and racing down the floor, so it's not a 4-on-5.
No.
He's playing like he's 7 foot tall instead of playing like he's
Exactly.
a 6'11" point guard. And I think that has been the key. And
I think Mike Brown figured out how to say to Cat, you got to play like Draymond Green. The offense got to come through you. I know, and I've been saying this, and Greg, you know this. Jalen Brunson can't be the offensive coming through him. If Cat's in the middle, he's, like you said, 7 foot. He can see over everybody. Just think about Draymond. He ain't even 7 foot. And look how well he passed. It's how you pass that ball. You're going to get it back, Cat, because they're going to give it back to you. They ain't giving it back to Draymond because he don't got an offense. But Cat, you're going to get it back.
But also on the Cat end, man, you 7 foot. If I put it on the rim, dog, go get it.
There you go.
Go get it. You bigger than everybody. Go get it. You bigger than everybody else. Go get the ball. You can't have Harden, OB be your leading rebounders. Cat, you're 7 foot. Go get the ball. You can't have Robinson out rebounding you when he plays a third of the minutes that you play. You know what I mean? You have to be a disruptor. So I think the Knicks are playing well, but I'm also on the side with Ryan. They got battle tested a couple times from not so very, very, very good teams.
Right.
Good teams, but not, no one picked them to upset the Knicks, right? But now, hey, who knows what's going to happen? I think Detroit lines up better against the Knicks than they do anybody else because they play that, we're talking about half-court basketball now. You know what I mean? I think the Knicks are at their best when they're running. They're pushing the pace.
Yeah. And which we saw. Yeah.
Because, Nate, it goes back to what you said. When they go to half court, you got Brunson just pounding the pavement, pounding the wood with the ball. You know what I mean? And I think that's where it gets stagnant. I think, defense leads to easy buckets. So when you're playing defense, you can get out in transition and get easy buckets. I think the Knicks are in a good place. I think Detroit holds off Cleveland at home. I had Detroit yesterday +5.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I had San Antonio -5. I just think I think they hold court. Detroit does tomorrow at home.
So when we come back
today
Ryan,
at home,
we're going to take a quick break. I want to talk about the Spurs-OKC series. Greg, I want you to break that down for us. You too, Ryan. Look at what's going on in the experience here on Fox Sports 1280, iHeartMedia, all points north, south, east, and west. And hey, we'll be right back. Don't go no place. Welcome back to our final segment for this Sunday, this week in Fox Sports 1280, iHeartMedia. And my name is Nate Brown Jr., and this is The Experience. And got Greg Vaughn, and we got my man Ryan. And before we left, we were talking about some NBA playoffs and as they go to the Western Conference Championship. The Spurs in OKC. I'm going to start with you, Ryan. I'm going to give it to Greg. What do you think? Because you've been breaking this whole series down. What say you about the alien versus the other alien? The Predator. Alien versus the Predator.
I like that. The alien versus the Predator. I think that's going to be that's the new theme for this series. And look, if we saw the Spurs getting the best of the Thunder in the regular season, but it's like Greg said, this is half-court basketball now. We're either and look, Wemby he's having his breakout. The guy's 22 years old, and he's just so smart. That's one thing I see about Wemby, and I'm just so blown away. And it was like the same thing watching LeBron at that age, was his court vision and his IQ. So, a point guard versus a center. That's the
alien is the center, right? And the point guard's the Predator. Greg, what say you about the alien versus the Predator?
I just want to say that's why I think that OKC, or I'm sorry, the Spurs actually do have a chance of upsetting the Thunder. OKC is the more complete team. They've got Holmgren as another great big. Jalen Williams is a great secondary player. Elite perimeter defense. But right now, San Antonio, just after that 139-109 Game 6 blowout, Castle stepping up, and we're watching him just grow and get better by the day. De'Aaron Fox with a near double-double. I don't know. I'm starting to be a little bit hesitant about my last prediction, which is that OKC was going to beat the Spurs. I feel like we might actually see the Spurs, if all goes well and they're all on all cylinders and everything goes the way they want to go. I think that this is the hardest matchup for OKC, and they might indeed not make it back to the finals. That's
what do you think, Greggy? The alien versus the Predator.
Well, for me, I got to see him in the play-in tournament. I got to see him up close and personal. I think it's just going to be a dogfight, man. I think OKC wins a little bit easier if Wemby stays out there and shoots threes. If
Can't do it.
If Wemby creates havoc and goes down there in the block and gets them in foul trouble, because they can run 12 guys at you. They're that deep. And you know what I mean? And they've been playing, they won that last series without Jay Will. They want to make sure this hamstring is right? They're that deep that they didn't even have their second best player on the court. So I think this is what it's made for. I think this is what fans and the NBA is going to look like for the next 5 or 6 years, as long as these teams stay intact, right? I think San Antonio's deep. They're not as deep, with Vassell and Castle and Harper and, Fox and Barnes, the guys that they're deep, but, it's something to be said about OKC. They've been here. I think you were talking about how smart Wemby is. I just think it's a different maturity level. I think Wemby at an early age, opposed to say Ja, knew what's expected of him and what he's supposed to do and what it's supposed to look like to lead a team. I think, maturity wise, we're not talking about talent because Ja's out of this world, but maturity wise, Wemby understood the responsibility that comes with that, right? And you see Ja, he still doesn't really understand it. He still can't separate the two. And I think San Antonio is in a good place for a long time. And you can put Cade Cunningham, who's, he had 4 years of school, but he's a little bit older. But once again, he understands the responsibility that comes with having a franchise on your back. And
But
you say
Greg,
that about SGA.
I always refer to you on this,
Those
right?
guys understand. It's so much more than, pounding your chest and saying, "Look at me." They're playing for a
Coaches
city.
say, Greg, what's between here? See, they said 2/3 of the game is played in your mind. So you can think you're a legend in your mind all you want, but you have to learn how to play that game in your mind. So somebody like John Moran, who's very, very talented, right? Doesn't transcend. Everybody's not a leader. See, sometimes we expect people just because they have great talent. And I think I look at Allen Iverson, right? As great as Allen Iverson was, I don't think Allen Iverson was like the rally around me troop kind of guy. Like, okay, let's rally. He doesn't give me that personality, right? There's certain people, Magic Johnson, rally around. Look, rally around me. John, you gotta be talented, and Greg knows this. But you might not have the person. Kevin Durant, perfect example. I'm good, but I don't really want to talk to nobody. Really, it's like I just want to play some ball, keep it moving, right? I'm not that guy that you want me to talk up guy and rally. I'm not that person. And then we try to make those athletes, those people that some of them don't want to be that people.
Well, I would say, Kevin Durant and Jaws a totally different thing. And I would say Iverson. You have some guys that do a lot of talking and say, follow, and then you have some guys that say, look how I leave it all out on the field or the court or whatever it is. Follow my actions. Yeah, no one played harder than Iverson, Durant. I mean, Garnett and those guys. I think with Ja plays hard, but there's too many outside voices that he has going on. He doesn't have a good support team going on around him. Like the Bible says, Nate. Sometimes you gotta let people go. Sometimes you gotta, the people that ain't good for you. And Ja just hasn't got to that age.
But I'm talking about. But I was talking about more so, like I said, rallying the troops. I know you can play ball.
I think Garnett was that leader.
I know. I say Kevin was, but it doesn't appear to me, even though Iverson was the quarterback, on the team, because you got to be the best player. It didn't give me the impression that guys are like listening to you. You good, but it's not like guys will listen to Dr. J. Okay, they're listening to Dr. J.
I think guys were listening to Iverson because he led by example. And this is the late Hubie Brooks said. He said, "I'm a historian." He said, "This is the thing in any sport, or just say business. Your first two people have to work the hardest. They have to set the tone, and that's why you take Tim Duncan and you take the Spurs teams.
Yep.
Greg Popovich didn't give anybody a pass, man. He treated, Tim Duncan was a superstar, but you don't get back, you don't play defense, you're coming out the game. And see, and now you see, you play it forward, whatever Pop's going through with the stroke and all that, who's by his side every single day? Tim Duncan.
Mm-hmm.
Helping him get through it, right? So what I'm saying is you have to have your superstars that are tough enough You go back to Jackie Robinson, like they said, he wasn't the best of the Negro League players, but he was the one that could take the wherewithal of everything that was going to come with him being the first one across, not punching somebody in the face, even though he felt like it, not lashing out. He was strong enough to take what was going to be thrown at him. You know what I mean? And I think, that's what comes along with leaders, man. If your first two fall in line, look at the Bulls. Michael Jordan, you had to fall in line. If Michael Jordan was going to do it and if Scottie Pippen was going to do it, everybody else had to do it. Karl Malone, John Stockton, Magic Johnson, Kareem. So on and so on. You have to have your best players lead by example. You know what? They were talking about, how many times did we hear Philly? They're talking about Embiid before your boy Maxey. It's Maxey's team now. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Maxey called him out because, Embiid don't show up to workouts. He don't show up to meet. He comes in late, this and that. How do you go win a championship when your best player does that?
Well,
you're not.
Well, that's Philly's. That we got to get out of there. But that's Philly's situation because the process obviously is over, and the process was a failure. So I think Embiid will be better off served coming off somebody's bench and not Philly because that's a done deal. So Philly should just retool and get on out of here.
I still think he has a lot of basketball left, man. But
not in Philly. But not in Philly.
No, I agree with you. Not in Philly. I think he has to have I think he has to look at himself and say, "Hey, man, God gave me this ability. I don't have that much longer to play.
Yeah.
I need to figure out if it's really
He's got to do what Bill Walton did. Bill Walton went to the Celtics and this was a backup. You go to a team that needs a backup guy like you. You know you can't play all those minutes. You know you're going to be stretching your back. Go to one of these young squads that you can help get to the next level possibly. If not,
but what's hard about a young squad, Nate, is what kind of man is he going to be in the locker room? You don't want these guys to learn from somebody that ain't going to be
because he wasn't good in the locker room now. So hey, that's
true. So my whole thing is he has to have a reset, a sit down, come to Jesus with himself and say, "Hey, man, I need to give better. I need to give more. I need to do better. I need to be, I need to thank God for everything that He's given me.
Yeah.
I need to and still take advantage for whatever it is I have left. You know what I mean? And I need to, get my ass out there and play like I'm supposed to play. Get off the goddamn ground. You're the biggest man on the court."
Hey, man, we
got hurt a lot. I agree 100%. I feel like Embiid is just in so much more pain than we realize. Every time he's out there. I feel like he's more physically going through it on the court than anyone I've seen between his legs, his feet.
He's battling injuries, so he's never healthy. But so
stomach.
So if that's the case, so you know what? Everyone else takes a month off. Embiid, if I was you, I'd take a week off because you missed half the year anyway, and take a week off and I'm not talking about basketball.
What about
get your body together.
What about taking the time off when there's you ain't playing basketball? Well, there is a season when you're not playing. So how about you getting healthy there?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, Nate. But he has to get his body together. So
that's what I'm saying.
He needs to go get it.
So
he needs to go
if you're
get
not
the gym.
playing during the off season,
I'm not talking about shots, and I'm not talking that first month. You don't need to take no shots, but you need to get in there and get stronger. You need to get your muscles right. You need to get there and get your
listen, he just had an appendectomy. He didn't even let the appendectomy. Greg, he didn't even let the appendectomy. You got to be clear.
You got to be able to run up and down the court. Man, go run some stairs. Go do something, man. Go do something.
But to your point, Ryan, we got to get out of here. He never even let the appendectomy really clear before he's back on the court. That's what I'm saying. You got to give your chance, your body time to heal. That's why I love those athletes who play football and say, I'm going to take a year off and come back and do halfway decent, because if you play Pop One and Greg, you notice you done play baseball from Little League through college, through professional. Your body need a break. And we're going to give you all a break because we're getting ready to get out of here. We'll be back next week. Greg, thank you for your sports athletic insight for us novices who just sit on the damn chair and think we know everything. Right, Ryan?
It's true. Us know-it-all fans. The worst fans of sports.
I got a shout out to my Golden Knights advancing to the next round too. We got the Colorado Avalanche. It's going to be a little tough, but dude, right here, it's hey. The odds 20-10 for the Dodgers, 9-1 for the Yankees. So we We'll talk baseball. We'll chop it up with baseball next
We'll
week.
do that next week, man. We just got deep in the woods and these other things. That's how we do because you're so
Let's go pay the bills, Nate.
brother.
Come on.
Huh?
Hey, give our love to our people. We got to go pay the bills. Let's go.
Okay, we'll be right back next week. See ya. Peace. God bless.